In a small village at the foot of Mount Fuji lived a weaver named Kenichi. His carpets were famous throughout the province, but more than his craft, people knew him for his kind heart. Kenichi forgave everyone who wronged him. He believed that if you forgive, people change. He had a neighbor, a potter named Yoshio. They had been friends since childhood, growing up together, drinking sake under the cherry blossoms together. The villagers said, Kenichi and Yoshio are like two branches of the same tree. But Kenichi did not know that envy lived in Yoshio's heart, strengthened by the years. One day, Yoshio forged a debt note and sued for half of Kenichi's house. Then he spread a rumor that Kenichi's carpets were made from stolen silk. Customers turned away and the shop closed. Kenichi, his wife, and his young daughter barely got by. His wife cried at night, but Kenichi comforted her. Yoshio will return. We must forgive. A year later, Yoshio came, fell to his knees, and cried, Forgive me. I will return everything. Kenichi embraced him. All is forgiven. Yoshio returned the house. They drank tea together again. The shop reopened. It seemed everything was fine. But 6 months later, Yoshio deceived Kenichi again in a deal. Kenichi was left with nothing. He forgave again. This repeated 7 times. 7 times Yoshio betrayed. 7 times Kenichi forgave. 7 times Yoshio returned with vows and betrayed again. The 8th time was the worst. Yoshio hired bandits to attack the house. On a winter night, they threw Kenichi's wife and daughter out into the street in thin kimonos. His daughter could not speak for 3 days. Kenichi went to the old sage who lived in a temple on the hill. The sage sat on the veranda, gazing at Mount Fuji, drinking tea. He did not turn around, only said, Sit. Kenichi sat on the cold stones. Teacher, I forgave Yoshio 7 times. He deceived me, robbed me, and now set bandits on my house. My daughter cannot speak from fear. Should I forgive an 8th time? The sage was silent for a long time. Then he poured tea and said, I will tell you a story. On the bank of a river stood a scorpion. He could not swim. Seeing a frog, he called out, Carry me to the other side. The frog laughed. You will sting me, and I will drown. Why would I sting you? Replied the scorpion. If I sting you, we both die. The frog agreed. The scorpion climbed onto her back, and they swam. But in the middle of the river, the scorpion stung her. Why? Cried the frog. Now we both will drown. The scorpion shrugged. It is my nature. They sank together. The sage set down his cup and looked at Kenichi. You are the frog. Yoshio is the scorpion. You carried him on your back 7 times. He stung you each time because it is his nature. But do we not teach forgiveness? Asked Kenichi. Forgive, yes, said the sage. But climbing onto the scorpion's back again? No. He paused and continued. You forgave Yoshio 7 times, and 7 times he stung you again. Who would be to blame if he stung you an 8th time? He would, said Kenichi. No, the sage shook his head. You knew his nature. You saw he never changed. Yet again and again, you let him close. The frog died because she trusted a voice, not her own eyes. You are doing the same. What should I do? Whispered Kenichi. Seek revenge? I do not call you to revenge, said the sage. But there is a difference between mercy and suicide. He raised a finger. You can forgive the scorpion for being a scorpion. You can pray for him if your heart is large enough. But letting him close again? No, because you are responsible for those beside you, for your wife, for your daughter. Kenichi was silent for a long time. Only the wind in the pine trees and the distant temple bell broke the stillness. I release the grudge, he finally said. I wish him no harm. I will not seek revenge. Good, nodded the sage. But I will not let him into my house again. Kenichi's voice grew firm. I will not drink tea with him. I closed the door. The sage smiled for the first time. Now you understand. To forgive means to stop wishing harm, but it does not mean to be a door that anyone can enter. To forgive means to release the hurt from your heart, but to protect your home. He rose, walked to the Buddha statue, and lit a candle. Remember, to forgive an enemy who has not changed is to betray yourself and those you love. You do not forgive to give a snake a second chance to bite. You forgive to stop carrying the hurt in your heart. But the snake, do not let it close again. Kenichi returned to the village. He rebuilt his house, reopened his shop, and taught his daughter to speak again. Every evening, he sat on the veranda, gazed at Mount Fuji, and drank tea. For the first time in years, his heart was at peace. Yoshio came twice more. He wept. He swore. Kenichi listened, but did not let him in. I forgive you, he said, but you will not cross my threshold again. A year later, Yoshio left the village. It was said he deceived a merchant in a neighboring town and was caught. When Kenichi heard this, he sighed and said to his wife, "The scorpion remained a scorpion, but I am no longer a frog."